Hey everybody, this is Johnny Concert. Welcome to the Johnny Concert Podcast. This is my buddy Reefer Jones here.
Howdy.
And I found this old handbill. It's John McLaughlin and Steve Morse Band. Tuesday, October 2nd. It doesn't say what year, but it says University of Colorado Boulder.
Is that the Glenn Miller
Ballroom? Yeah.
Yeah, and I got a story about that, but that's another day.
So I got, my friend Kristen was on the council, the program council. She got us free tickets. And so
Sign holder.
I got to know, we're probably good there. So I got to go backstage and meet Steve Morse. And my name's John McLaughlin. So John McLaughlin, one of the best guitar players of all time, was there, and that's fine right there. And so I got to meet Steve Morse, and I said, "Hey, Steve, John McLaughlin." He said, "No, I'm Steve Morse." I said, "I know who you are. I'm John McLaughlin." He said, "What?" I said, "Yeah,
I'm the other one."
I said, "I'm the other one, exactly. The guy that doesn't play guitar like that." But what was cool, one of the cool things is John McLaughlin had this percussionist guy, and he had a big pail of water. And he had this thing like a jangle, the bells, and he'd bring the bells, and then he'd start slowly putting them into the water with the microphone right there. And it had these really trippy, ethereal sound, it was really cool.
Wow.
And so then Steve Morse just shredded. I mean, these are two of the best guitar players in the history of the world. And so John McLaughlin, of course, had a famous recording called Friday Night in San Francisco. And it's Al Di Meola, Paco de Lucia, and John McLaughlin all playing acoustic guitars at 100 miles an hour. And it's one of the, I mean, if you read Guitar World magazine's, go ahead.
Yeah, it wasn't just an adventure or concert, rock and roll. It was an adventure in music.
It was the whole thing.
And it was this kind of trippy music.
Well, and also I lived at Fort Collins at the
it.
time, and so it was like a road trip to Boulder from Fort Collins, which is only 45 minutes an hour, but
what kind of bells
it's still.
were those?
I can't remember. I can't remember exactly what they were. Or it was on, like you got the washboard, you got the I honestly call them Kinga bells. I can't remember exactly what they were.
But putting them in the water and making them vibrate.
It was crazy because the vibrations of the water.
As he's jamming, going on the guitar.
I mean, he was doing some trippy stuff, and then he would just start shredding like he does.
Hypnotic.
It was really cool, and I'd never seen it before, and it was a small venue. It was Glen Miller Ballroom, maybe holds 500, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. And so, we driven down from the we were at college at the time, so it had to be late 80s, maybe 90.
Yeah.
And so, sponsored by Kubo, which is a great jazz station we have, jazz and blues station we have in Denver. It's brought to you by, it's like a public station, like an NPR or indie, something like that,
I don't think they're around anymore. Are they morphed into something else?
Be.
They might still be out there.
I thought they were. We're in Denver, Colorado, by the way.
We're going to look them up.
And we're going to look it up. We need our producer to look that up.
Yeah. Hey, would you look that up?
That's right. So we also got the Steve Morse Band. So Steve Morse has played in the Dixie Dregs with just an amazing cast of characters in that band. There's Andy West on bass and Rod Morgenstein on drums, who's just a phenomenal drummer. And then he played with Kansas on an album or two.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually saw him
towards the end of Kansas.
I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was towards the end. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I got to look it up. They played the Grizzly Rose in Denver.
Wow.
Kansas did, and Steve Morse was on guitar. I've seen him probably 19, 20, 30, 25 times maybe. Because he plays with Deep Purple. He's been in Deep Purple for 20 years. So
if they come this year, we're seeing them.
They're still touring. Their first album, I think, 66 maybe. 66 Shades of Deep Purple, I think it is. 66. We have to look that up. But it's right around there. And so it was just a phenomenal experience to go see that concert and then talk to Steve Morse. Then, of course, he has the Steve Morse Band, and then which he's just revered as one of the best of all time. Wow. And then he joined Deep Purple. And Deep Purple is I have these articles I wrote, the band with the best guitar players of all time. And bands that have long-term bands that have switched guitar players. And the Deep Purple has Ritchie Blackmore, Tommy Bolin on one album, 1975.
Denver's own, almost Denver's own.
Yeah, then Satriani. Satriani did one of their tours in Europe for a while. Yeah. And so they got Satriani and then Steve Morse. I mean, those are four formidable guitar players.
Bolin does that writes and does that song Post Toasty.
Yes, Post Toasty.
And then he does it. He does.
And then he posts toasties. You're right.
It's like, dude.
Don't let your mind post toasty like a lot of my friends
Yeah.
did.
And
You're
at
right.
that time, he was talking about Hendrix, Morrison.
Oh, it's terrible.
And,
Yeah.
The girlfriend, your girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Bobby
Southern
McGee.
Southern Comfort, yeah.
Come on, what's her name?
We got it. Yeah, what's your face? I'll never forget what's your face. It's so obvious. It's hard to come up with at this point.
Anyway,
Lizzie Borden. No, wait, that's different.
she took her accent.
No, I never liked Janis Joplin.
parents
She has
were,
Janis Joplin was
yeah.
like, to me, it was like nails on a chalkboard.
Well, some people say that my voice sounds like that.
Well,
And
we hope not. We like to think not.
I'm the big Billy Goats Gruff singer. That's my voice.
Well, it's
God
not
gave
bad.
me that kind
No,
of
Reefer
voice.
Jones here just put out some songs, and he's got an album out.
It's very, very gruff.
It's gruff. It's good. It's very good. It's kind of pop. I don't know how you describe it. Country western leans towards country western, but then there's all kinds of.
got some-
how'd you describe it?
Folk, country, western.
But then you got a techno song out of nowhere.
I got a techno song that's getting released here sometime soon.
But one of his hit
Fire.
singles is playing Chicken with a Freight Train. That's a good one.
Freight train.
Interestingly enough, too, Tommy Bolin played in a band called Zephyr in Colorado. He lived in Boulder, Colorado for a while. And Zephyr was Jock Bartley, who later formed Firefall, and a great guy, a local guy. And it was Dave and Candy Givens. They were a married couple, and Candy was a singer. She had a Janis Joplin style. And it's basically unlistenable to me. Because the guitar playing is incredible, but her voice is just so shrill. It just cuts. Same with Janis. I never liked Janis. I still don't like Janis.
I love her. I modeled my voice after her.
I respect her. She's a legend. I know this, but
Yeah.
I don't know. She just, I'm never gonna. I don't have any of her albums, and I'm not looking to get any.
All right. Well,
But then Tommy Bolin, of course, morphed into all kinds of stuff, man. And Chuck Morris, local promoter Chuck Morris, who was a head guy at AEG, started with Barry Fay and is responsible for bringing us the best music in the history of the world.
Yeah.
It came through Denver over the last 40, 50 years. And he owned a bar called Tulagis in Boulder, and Tommy Bolin would play there. And he said one time, so Tommy Bolin left Zephyr and formed a band called Energy. But nobody knew this because it happened like the day before. And Zephyr had a gig that night at Glenn Miller Ballroom. And so it was sold out. Everybody wanted to go see Tommy Bolin play guitar. But they didn't know, because there's no internet, there's no nothing, that he had left Energy and they were playing Tulagis. And Chuck Morris said it was 7 people at this concert. In Tulagis, he says the best best guitar playing he's ever seen in his life. But then he was the one that knew the James Gang manager. And when Joe Walsh left the James Gang, he called up the manager and said, I got your new guitarist right here. And he got Tommy Bolin the gig playing with the James Gang on the album Miami.
gosh.
So anyway.
That's something I didn't even know.
That's good stuff.
We need to listen to that song.
Well, Tommy Bolin, if you have his ultimate tribute disc set, it's incredible, the bands he played with. He played with Billy Cobham from Spectrum, who was the drummer for the Mahavishnu Orchestra, with John McLaughlin and Carlos Santana. And then there was, there's one album he has with Alphonse Mouzon as the drummer, who drums 100 miles an hour. And it's Lee Ritenour is the other guitar player on it, and it's called Mind Transplant, and it is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it is mind-bogglingly good.
Well,
Easy for me to say.
Have you ever watched the YouTube video of Tommy Bolin playing at Old Mile High? It's black and white.
Right, I've seen pictures of that.
There's video of it, and it's what's really cool about it. It's black and white, but you get captures. I think it's 72.
I thought it was
Let's research that.
76 or something.
Maybe
I can't
it's
remember. He
76.
already died in 76.
But okay,
right around
it
there.
was early when he was still here in Colorado. He starts in somewhere.
Well, 75.
Rapid City or somewhere.
75 is definitely
Then he
South
comes
Dakota.
to Colorado, and
or
that's where he
or
gets
Iowa.
going. I think it was
Sioux City, Iowa, maybe.
I thought it was. I thought he was South.
We
Dakota,
need
but,
our producer to look this stuff up.
We get that singing bear working on that.
Come
for me.
on, man.
What it captures is like whatever year it was, let's say 1972. The people, what they're wearing, how they're acting. I mean, it's cool. Everybody's acting cool, but it's just captures that moment of the early 70s, the mindset. Tommy Bolin doing Post Toasty at Old Mile High.
It was
It's
legendary.
just like, wow.
I don't think Post Toasty was out yet.
It wasn't, well.
1975 is Come Taste the
We're gonna
Band
look
with
it
Deep
up right
Purple.
now.
So Come Taste the Band is, yeah, look it up. So Come Taste the
All right.
Band with Deep Purple is the only album he played on. Well, I think there was a live one also. But the only studio album he played on was Come Taste the Band, 1975. And so then I thought his solo was after that, solo career was after that. So, and then, I mean, there's so much stories about Tommy Bolin. He had David Sanborn played sax on the not the Teaser, the Teaser album with Wild Dogs. I think it's on Wild Dogs, and David Sanborn plays the saxophone.
He did Post Toasty there, but what year? What
year was that?
No, we're just gonna have to put it on.
I mean, we need it. We need it. I mean, Tommy Bolin.
Do we need permission to do this, or are we
We
gonna
might.
go with that whole thing that we don't need no stinking permission?
I don't think we need to play it. Badges? I don't think we need to play it, but definitely I want to know what year it was. And there was, I mean, there's so many stories about Tommy Bolin. Is Jan Hammer, who plays keyboards.
You're so right.
What?
1976.
76.
8/29, 1976.
Hey man, Johnny Concert knows what he's talking about.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
this
most
guy
times.
is on it.
I knew it was 76. It was right after. So I think was he with Deep Purple at the time, or was he solo? Was he doing his solo stuff?
Okay, alrighty.
So Deep
This is
Purple was
he's solo. At one time, he was with Zephyr at Mile High.
Zephyr.
What year
Oh,
that
Zephyr.
was?
Okay.
What year? But that was
That's what I was
probably
saying.
earlier on.
One of his first known bands.
But anyway, switching gears here. Forgive me, everyone. Forgive me, Johnny.
No, non sequitur.
What concerts do you have in mind for coming up this year that we're going to go to together?
Good questions. Good questions. Oh God, I was just looking at a couple. Well, there's Metallica in late June. They're playing 2 nights.
I'm still out of the country.
I mean, I've seen Metallica at least 23, maybe 24.
You'll be there.
25 times maybe, but I went to the first 23 times I ever played in Denver. I went to all 23. First one was at Rainbow Music Hall in 1985. $9, Armored Saint opened up. Wow. And then when they played 2 nights of Red Rocks on both nights, they played 3 nights of McNichols, went all 3 nights. They did 2 nights another time at Pepsi Center, went both nights. And the first 23 times they played here, and just phenomenal band. And their set list still has a couple songs I just don't understand why they would do, but it's still just, I mean, they're top of the table. And they always do. They're the first one they had on the Black Album. They had 3 nights of McNichols. They had a diamond stage, so it was like 2 short ones in the back, and then 2 longer ones in the front of a diamond. And then there was a pit in the middle. It was called the Snake Pit, and you could go in there, and I think you had to win the tickets on a Budweiser. It was like a Budweiser sponsored thing, where you called in to caller 7, and you had to do something.
You go in there, and
You're
porn
so
stars in
Metallica's
there.
running around you at the concert. You're in the middle of the stage, and the Metallica's running. Oh, there goes Kurt. There goes Lars. Oh wait, Lars is over here. But then at one point, the second drum set came up. James Hetfield got on the drums, and he and Lars did a drum battle type thing. And it was, but everything. I mean, the '80s had so much bravado in the concerts. I mean, the record companies were paying for the lasers and the explosions and stuff. So everybody went hog wild. I mean, Tommy Lee went upside down on his drum set. I mean, we had a million things like that. But then towards the end of the '80s, it was like, well, everything been done. But then in 1990, Metallica did that Black Album thing, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was just, we've never seen anything like this. It was so incredible. And then they had at one point, Metallica had a movie out, where it was a 3D movie, and you go, it was one night only across the nation. And you go in and you get the 3D glasses, and you go in, and we went to the course of the 10 o'clock show, because we knew they'd crank it up a little bit. And it was like, you're watching it, and Kurt Kammett's headstock of his guitar is behind your head, they're right in your face like the whole time. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. Not only like best films, best concerts, films, whatever, just one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life. And it was just, I mean, those guys, they got so much money and they got creativity. So you started coming up with things occur to me from time to time.
Yeah.
So I can't wait to see what they got in stock. But the second night they've got 2 different lineups. The second night is Pantera and I believe it's Suicidal Tendencies, and just like legendary bands.
I haven't even looked at the schedule, but I have a couple of my high school buddies from Pensacola, Florida, coming out in
Okay.
the first couple of weeks of October, and they want to go to Red Rocks, and I want to take them to the Paramount too.
Sure, Paramount Theater's
uh,
legendary.
Yeah.
The only problem with the Paramount is the seats are like this. So you got to be on the end. You got to get the tickets early.
Even
and
the
plan
ones
your seats.
upstairs? Are they
The ones
they're all
upstairs
set?
aren't quite as bad because they're the old
orchestra
theater
seats,
seats.
yeah.
They're the old theater seats up there. The lower ones are these hooked together kind of
They're
plastic
very
things.
challenging.
Yeah, and they're not good. I mean, I worked at the Paramount Theater for years, and I had the best position there. I had the curtain right,
Yeah.
which is actually stage left, but the curtain right is the only way to get from the theater right there to the backstage area. It's one pass through.
Last time I was there, I was standing too much and singing too much, being too loud, and it aggravated everybody.
That happened to you too, huh?
Well, I'm having fun.
I got kicked out of Dick Mason.
That's what, yeah.
Dick Mason
Was it the same year?
No, you saw Dick Mason the year before I did.
Yeah.
And he opened up with one of these days, I'm going to cut you into little pieces. I'm up there rocking. And the thing about the Paramount is, because I worked there, we had a policy. We don't tell people to sit down.
Yeah.
There's a guest relations.
obviously
They would,
changed the policy.
they would reseat you if you had with the guest relations. They would reseat you. And so, but they would not,
Almost done.
they were, they would not. We would not tell people to sit down. It was the policy of the theater, and so I walked in. When I walked in last time, I hadn't been there for a few years. I said, "Is it still the policy that, they don't tell people to sit down?" And the guy said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, then what's the problem?" So then, but the other thing I do is, because I've been to Paramount many times, when I walk in, I turn to the people behind me, because a lot of people sit down at the Paramount.
Yeah.
I turn to the people behind me, I say, check this out, I will be standing the whole time. I'm just going to let you know that up front, and I don't care what you think.
get this
I got
out.
better seats than you do, but I work here, so I happen to know that if that's going to bug you, you go to guest relations, sometimes they give you better seats, and they reseat you. They're happy to do it. It's one of their things they do there. But this time, apparently, even though the guy said that's their policy, they said, all of a sudden they brought the police in, and the police told me to get out, to sit down or whatever. I said, no, fuck. I said, fuck you guys. I left, and I just started berating the people behind me. I was probably like 10 rows.
Oh.
I mean, there's probably like 30 rows in the main thing, and I was probably 20th row or whatever. I said, you guys are a bunch of fucking pussies. I said, I can't wait till tomorrow when somebody asks you how the show is. Tell them you told somebody to sit down in front of you at a Pink Floyd concert. Are you fucking kidding me right now? I just yelled at them. I mean, I was so pissed off.
Similar event at a
Oh, it's
Bronco
hot.
game, and in the playoffs, third down, we're on defense, third down, and
Dude, third down defense. You said no. Usually,
standing up, yeah.
Well, first of all, you know the policies of Mile High Stadium.
Yeah, and no, they didn't get nobody on me, the police or anything like you, but
I'm hard and feeling.
but they were whining and touching me. Sit down. And I'm like, and I turned around, and I'd been back when I was drinking.
Yes, drinking heavily.
And nothing against midgets. And I turned around and I said, I can't help it if you're a bunch of
Well, I mean, first of all, the day you tell somebody to sit down is the day that you've officially become old and tired, and you need to probably just stay home and watch from your lazy boy. If it's too loud, you're too old, and if you tell somebody you can't. That's one of Johnny Contra policies.
Yeah.
You don't tell somebody else to sit down at a rock show.
Me and John
You just
are
don't.
not short guys. So.
No, he's tall.
Yeah.
What are you, 6'5", 6'6"?
Yeah, I was 166, but now you're shrinking as we get older.
Well,
and before we wrap this up, I just had a recent song come out.
Tell me.
Mating with Satan, Reefer Jones. I only have 87 hits on it so far. Reefer
It's just the
Jones,
beginning.
REEFA Jones, Mating with Satan.
You'll look it up on YouTube, right? Or Spotify?
Yeah, it's on all
you
of
on
it.
Apple?
It's
You
on
on
all of
Spotify?
it. Yeah,
All of
it's
them.
on all of it,
Dude,
man.
big time, dude.
Most the undiscovered artist, the Billy Goats Gruff singer himself, right here, Mikey Goat Gruff.
Yeah, I like it.
That's right.
I like
Knocking
it.
the trolls down.
Very good. Well, we're just shooting the shit today, and this is welcome to the podcast. And I hope you liked it. And this is Johnny Concert, Reefer Jones, and we'll see you on the next one.
Signing out.
See you on the next one. Rock and roll.
Johnny, 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 Johnny.